Hi guys, welcome back to another video with, well, I couldn't say that it's the difference, but it is going to be another Model O series video, which some of you guys will probably already know. Of course, to some people that would be like, exactly know what that is, and they kind of work with that, what that actually means to some. There's others would already know, like, oh, we know what that means, but, kind of thing. Some do, yeah. It's something I will. Some people will say, well, you know. Right, I wanted to bring some special things up because obviously Christmas Day is not far away, or nor is Christmas Eve, so you have a. I'll say it close to the time actually, so it's a little early yet. But when time comes, I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. It's not all that far really, but I don't know how quickly time can go. But yeah, obviously we're just mostly concentrating on scenery today. We'll run some more trains in due time. I think I'm going to have to not dismantle the track so much, but the stuff around it, yes, we're going to have to organise that properly. Because there's this moment in time with things the way they are, and obviously being that the track is kind of leaning at a weird angle, so I've got to have to sort that out. So I can't leave it like that. Not with the track being at a peculiar angle like that. Because it needs to be a strip there where so when you go around the corner it doesn't fall off. And then put a fence in there and the process. Which is what I'm going to be doing today. In some point today's video. But as for now, I can just turn the trains off and just concentrate on the scenery for now. So we'll disconnect that one. And then we'll just connecting up the soldering line and the glue gun. What we'll do for tonight's video. So obviously we'll have a glue gun because this glue gun is very effective on machinery. I mean, I really like this glue gun. It's told me a lot of purposes. The first time, this is the first, and hopefully it'll hold me out for a number of years yet, because it's been really helpful, this glue gun, for the scenery. Did I buy it? I did have show ID when I bought it, and this was the time when I only just turned 18 at the time, so it wasn't as restricting. But now, obviously the glue guns and soldering iron kits now, which they were really restricted about showing ID for things that are underage or they look underage. But and I think that's the way the future is going to go, with people who don't show their age or they don't look their age. It's something they're going to have to ask for ID for, because obviously they won't leave you without having that sort of form ID. Which, I understand in the sense of like glue gun and soldering iron, because, it gets very hot, it gets very boggy, and it stings your fingers if you catch it accidentally on the stuff. But right now, I'm not going to worry too much about locomotives running tonight, because we did do some other sections last night when I've run some trains, and they didn't go particularly well. So I'm going to have to organise this line a little bit better, I think, and then maybe make it less smooth around here. And if it starts raining between now, well, from now to about 2 hours from now, which is when I'll finish the video, and if it starts pelts in between that time, I will have to edit and take those bits out. But for now, I'm not going to worry, because obviously time. Let me know in the comments below. Also, just quickly to mention, if anyone you are religious watch my videos, I'm not going to have a problem with you. I know some people do, be funny about it, but I'm not one of those people who worry about it or be funny about, you're into something, it works for you. That's fine, it makes you happy and you should enjoy it. But to me, personally to me, I'm not in religion in that way, because to me, I'm much more rather enjoying my own life with hobbies as my passion with. To me, it's model railways, YouTube, and spending time with talking to you guys about what's possibility for my. Excuse me, I only just finished dinner. A possibility to what my future layout's going to be like for my smaller board on my future home, in on a place somewhere in Bromley. That's all I'm going to say now. But the idea is, once that day comes, as I mentioned yesterday's video, once that time comes, I've got to organise everything and pack everything up. You know, I've got to organise it in advance. But also, I wouldn't say I'm really much into religion as much. This is a small example, like my mum. She's really into it, like everything. She dedicated her life completely. I don't know, I was to say, this is people's different point of view, but to my mum, she's really passionate about. She didn't have the best life when she was younger, but she also did have the best experience with husband or slash ex, and commoners with my dad. But yeah, it didn't work out between them very well, and it certainly turned into a bit of an argument, which is what I heard of. But yeah, what am I drinking? Oh, it's friendly. All it is J2O, cherry and glitterberry J2O, really nice, very friendly, and it's not alcohol. I don't drink very often, but when I do, I really fancy it. I will get Snark Ice and a Wicked Blue. But occasionally I will like whiskey and coke. I have to be honest, I like whiskey and coke. But at the moment, obviously, because it's leading up to Christmas, I'm more like to save myself to things like that at Christmas time. And if you like chain glitterberry J2Os, try to get them when you can, because they do disappear after Easter. You can't get them anymore, so you have to get them in date. So you get them from Christmas time into Easter, you're good. But after that, they tend to be out of date and they don't tend to be as nice. But that's because they're specifically used, or they're being dated for a particular time, because obviously it's stuff they make in them. But yeah, J2Os are good, but some I guess they're made as a permanent J2O, and there's others I guess are for a limited edition, which suck because the J2Os are supposed to be for well, they've got to be suitable for other locos, not other locos. They've got to be suitable for the name I can't think of. The loco I can't think of, which seems to have gone out of my head. They're very delicate, some of these trains I own. Not because me, but any loco enthusiasts. Not because me, as I said, but there's other people in the world who probably agree to say that, yeah, model trains are delicate things, they can break very easily. And to that part, I agree. Because I have had locos in the past when I had a very I wasn't very careful at the time with model trains. I was always like, ooh, new train. And then I suddenly realised, well, actually, yes, it's a nice train, and then some time later, you end up not paying attention to something, and then something falls off, or something snaps out, you realise it's in your hand, and it just breaks. So that does happen. Model trains can be very delicate things. I mean, my most delicate train I think I've got in my collection at the moment. Which one would it be? It has to be one of the particular. I've got about at least 3 most delicate trains. I've probably got quite a lot actually, a lot more than 3. One of my special locos, being an A3 model, she's one of my special A3s, and I have to got her, in spite of the fact I was really low on money that day. But I got this loco, the Flying Scotsman, the well famous of the Flying Scotsman, LER in apple green. The top speed was 102 miles an hour, I think. It could have been 100 miles an hour, but I think they recorded it at 102, I think. But as I said, that was the first steam train that broke the record. It was 102 miles an hour, I think, at the time. There we go. And if I show you the back, I don't know, it's a big black void. And there is really basic cab detail in it, but it's really basic. But we also got the running number, if it was the camera's focus on it. There we go, 4472. And we got just the front, if my hand's not going to be in the way. There's the cab, or the boiler, with a bunch of different rods and moving parts on it. And obviously at one part of the cab, which has got a plastic window in, which is just quite cool because it looks like it's been fitted in separately, which is really nice. The only thing is really bugging me about this train, it's how much the cab wheels actually wobble quite a lot, and that shouldn't be that wobbly. So obviously I'm going to have to, I am out of breath. I think that's because I was eating dinner and I basically moved pretty quickly to get in here, getting things done, and came out and feel like because I feel really fat because I was eating dinner, pizza, onion bhaji and some triangle samosas, and what else did I have? Oh, I had a glass of normal Coca-Cola, which they also just call it Coke nowadays because obviously what stuff they used to be made of. So I just call it Coke because there's a better safety of young viewers. Because, yeah, my mum was telling me all about when it first came around and what it used to be made of. Scary thought. But they never found out how people didn't realise to notice what it was made of at the time. But now, it's pretty cool that it's only sugar now, which is good. I can imagine that people get hyper and they could buy a bottle of Coke for the weekend and you treat yourself to it, and they don't realise what's actually inside of that at that point in time. But back then, there wasn't all that many people on the planet by that point. It was very early. Very few people at that time in the 1800s. There have been a few, but not many. And also we got the Elinor Crest Tender. Obviously this is the railroad budget, I think, this one. Nope, it could be the premium, it could be the earlier premium ones. The Elinor apple green with the white stripe at the back. We have got a corridor tender, which was quite common on the A3s, on the Flying Scotsman, on the King, and many other little trains. They did have corridor tenders, because I did look this up and I think this is fascinating to me. The reason because they bought the corridor tenders, and I'm sure a few of you already know why they brought them in. Some people won't because obviously they're new to my channel or they're new to YouTube in general. Basically what used to happen when, going back a number of years, I mean well before most of our times from generation, but to those of people growing up in that period of time when these were around and running on our British mainline areas for one area of the country to the other, which was quite common back then. There used to be obviously to me, I think this was quite interesting, that the tender on the back of the on the steam locos who had a corridor tender, there was the ideal to actually get through from the coaches right through the tender, and I think the tender was a place where workers were gone inside, and I think they would have got things like food and drink in a section of the tender, and the other half was for coal and water for the train. I think that's how they used to do it in the real things, but I'm not 100% sure. I know top of it would have been full of coal and it's sliding down to the opening at the bottom, but I think it also used to go through the train and it go into the cab on the steam train, which is something they used to do as well. Which is quite incredible, really. You think about it, you're going basically walking past this big section of coal, and you're basically walking past the hot water with going in this tender, and just sitting there, and it's like, and the people who work with the train and the driving the unit would have been fascinated to see, I would imagine, at that time. Hard work, but should have been interesting to see if you were around in that period of time. I wish I was to that benefit seeing steam trains on the main line. That would have been cool if I was growing up in that period of time. I wouldn't like growing up in that period of time because, well, a few reasons. Not because, obviously, that was a long, long time ago. It's because, obviously, the war thing went on. I didn't like the idea of growing up through the war. I've grown up